So we're going to talk about tiered assessments and how to use Illuminate to build a tiered assessment. This information is based off of Marzano's book and based off of conversations with Jason Bess, because that guy reads a bunch of stuff about education and has great ideas. And if you're just bored, go talk to Bess, because he's fun to talk to. So none of this is really original stuff that came out of my mind. I'm really good at stealing other people's ideas. I have a math test that I created that you're going to look at in a moment. And as you just quickly look through it, don't focus on the questions. Don't focus on what the math's about. Just look at it. It's a test. You create tests. And think, how do you grade your own tests? On how do I assess if a kid is at a below basic, a proficient, or advanced? So look at the next 3 pages, just a math test, a bunch of random questions about circles. And spend 30 seconds, go through it, and then get to the questions. I have 2 questions for you at the end of those pages. There were 12 problems on that assessment. Percentage. Anybody, where would you put a kid that scores a 33%?
Below basic.
Below basic?
Yeah.
Fail? I mean, in any normal world, that's a fail. Right. What about a kid that scored 6 out of 12, a 50%? And that's what we're going to look at. But what if we design the test a little bit differently to really tease out basic, proficient, and advanced? Scroll down to the next page. This is the exact same test. This time I've organized the questions by level. The first 4 questions are basic. The next 4 are proficient. The last 4 are advanced. A kid got 4 out of 12 questions right. But the 4 they got right were all basic level questions. They got every basic question correct. Where would you place that kid? That kid's a 2. That kid had. Now, there are going to be times when this isn't going to be perfect. You're going to get the kid that's going to get the advanced question and miss a couple of the basics. And there's going to be this wobble. But for the most part, when I look at my scores, the kids jump through these different levels. And it's pretty obvious this kid has a basic understanding, this one has a proficient, and an advanced. So this is just an idea of how to do, why a tiered assessment kind of makes sense as opposed to just doing an averaging and using a percentage. Now I'm going to show you how to actually create this using Illuminate. So if you'll get into Illuminate, please. In Illuminate, up at the top is Assessments. Click on that. And the document I shared has all these steps, all these screen captures. Click on Assessment Standard Mode. You're going to give it a name, and if you want to add the tags, you can. The tags are optional. Click on Create once you've done that. So we're going to pull up our questions based on standards. Select Common Core State Standards. I went with Math. If you're going to go with ELA, select ELA. Then select your grade level. Once you select grade level, it will propagate this tree of standards. Now you're going to drill down through a standard into the substandards. And as you start drilling down, you're going to see how many items or questions are associated with that standard. You've selected questions. You got a little link next to it.
Yes.
You have a little link.
I have a little, yeah.
I have a little link next to it. And now those questions are ready for us to filter and look at.
How'd you get the link, Mike?
I clicked on the thing in the red circle, and then click Continue, which is up at the top. It's now time to add our basic level questions. So we're going to filter all those questions by the basic level. It's under Attributes. And the attribute that I use, there are lots of ones. I'm going to go with low. You can search by DOK or by difficulty, but recognize not everything is linked up to a correct attribute. So if you use too many attributes, it's not going to return any questions.
It's going to filter it way down.
Oh.
Because some things don't even have a DOK associated with them.
I would just do, I've done the same thing. I would just use
I find high, medium, and low. Everything has that attached to it. Some of these are sorted by DOK, by Bloom's, by SBAC claims. Lots of ways to sort it, but I find that low, medium, high seems to work the best.
Yeah.
And then I make my own judgment call. Click on low and update your filter. And theoretically, you're going to have a set of questions to work with. Scroll down a little bit. Scroll down. As you find a question that you want to use, click Add, and it's going to take it over to your assessment. It's a great question. I do 5 at basic, 4 at proficient, and 3 at advanced. Last year I did 4, 4, and 4, and I've changed it, trying to really look at the lower level questions and make sure there's a good understanding there. So that's why I do 5 at low. At each level, if you can miss one question, and I'm still pretty good with you. You miss 1 basic, I still think you're basic. You miss 1 proficient, you're still proficient. You miss 1 advanced, you're still advanced. After you've selected your low levels, maybe 5 or 4 or whatever, go back into your filter, change it to medium. And medium is usually where the bulk of the questions are in these item banks. Some of these questions are only good online, and you can't print them out.
And you can tell by this little computer.
There's a little computer up at the top.
That means it's
So everything that I do, I print it out. Just keep clicking continue until you get to the split page, which will say print options up at the top. So on the printing page, you have lots of options. I'm not going to have time to go over them all. Actually, just click Generate, and it's going to create a PDF of your test. Some of the options on the printing are, some of your questions are constructed response. So this will give you line spacing and font size. This is nice for students with IEPs or need modifications. You can make it really, really big and just print one for them. So how I start it, this is my flow. I look at my standards, what do I want to teach? I go in here and I create the test. Off of that test, I create a sample test and a pre-test. So I create 3 tests of everything. Not just I create 1 in here, and then I, on my own, modify it, and then I teach to my own test. Because this is what I think is important. This is how I'm going to assess them. And then I design my lessons to try to get to that goal. So I backwards map off of everything. I print out a teacher's edition also.
click on this again.
So,
Go with
She wants to
yes,
see the attributes too.
and then attributes.
And then do that as detail.
And then generate.
Yeah, let's see.
This is how my data comes out of my system. And you've seen this before. These are, right here, these are the basic questions. So I know it's hard to see, but this kid got 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. This set right here, these are my proficient questions. So as I scroll down, 6. So this kid, is that a 6? 6 8s, and then here are my advances. So this is how my data comes to me, and then I look across, and I figure it out. So this kid was a 5 and 0, 0, so that kid's a 1.5. I use a lot of weird stuff. So I'm using Question Press, and this is how the data dumps out of Question Press for me. And I am not teaching, I know I don't teach to advanced. I teach to proficient. Advanced is intentionally, I feel like I've given you all the pieces of it, and if you're advanced, take all those pieces that you've learned, and can you build up to the advanced question?